Hello and welcome back to our playthrough of Aeon Trespass Odyssey. I am Emerging Boat. We are on day 60 of Cycle 3, and we are continuing our Story 3 card, Box of Black. The Argonauts are currently journeying through the future of Delphi, looking for the pieces of the Aspirant, Icarus's ship that tried to set sail for the Sun's domain and continues to fail. And so now we've traveled into the future to try to find the pieces of it so that we can hopefully find Icarus along with it and figure out what exactly is causing the Aster to continuously fail its mission. And we want to see if we can change that. We just finished a battle with the Hypertime Oracle. And I wouldn't say it went terribly, but it definitely could have gone better if I had just paid a little bit more attention to what I was doing. I think some of the negative things that happened were somewhat self-inflicted wounds, or at least they self-inflicted wounds that snowballed into things where I just had not been prepared for it. Although admittedly, there was one thing that was completely self-inflicted, which was we collectively as a group decided that we were going to kill off Penelope. Penelope died, or I should say Abyss Watcher died because of Ambrosia Gain, although if he didn't die from Ambrosia Gain, I was probably going to have him arrive from Time Clocked when his time anchor was not on the board. And Abyss Watcher actually had the Fused Souls Grave Trauma, which says that if the Titan dies before the end of the battle, so does the Argonaut resolve the Rude Awakening special event. I think there's something that we might want to get out of the Rude Awakening special event, although I could be misremembering, so we'll see. But before we get to that, I also need to roll a die for Circigard here because the Returner died, unfortunately, and I could not save the Returner with a Pygmalion Stone because she died from being rewound, so she died from being erased from existence. And because we have an Argo Cryptex equipped, we have to roll a die to see if the Argonaut dies as well. On a 1, they die. On anything else, they're fine. That's a 5, so Circigard lives to see another day, unlike our friend Penelope. So let's go take a read through the Rude Awakening special event.
You thought yourself invincible. You spend battles submerged in the emerald waters of the Aeon, safely away from the fight, a disembodied spirit of power and hope, steering a thoughtless avatar of muscle and bone to victory or death. You have seen countless deaths at this point, from your crewmates to the mighty Titans, to the terrifying Primordials. You've heard their screams. You've felt pangs of sadness. You've said words of farewell. Everything dies. But you were an Argonaut, the hero, the chosen one awakened from the mausoleum to control the Colossi and steer the course of humanity to a brighter future. Death was something that happened to others. Until today. Return from whence you came, brave soul, starts the elegy. Your body is entombed into the same mausoleum, where it will remain, reunited with the other fallen, until the end of time, or until the nigh impenetrable hull of the Argo finally gives way. All the remaining Argonauts are present, as is the old priest and the hundreds of crew members who day after day work tirelessly to keep the Argo going. A quiet hum comes from the depths of the ship, as if even the Titans are joining in the morning. As the elegy dies down, an anticipatory silence takes its places, and it is deafening. Reality itself seems to fold onto itself. A lone person staggers from within a dark corner of the mausoleum. Has the Argo awakened them? Or have they come from someplace else?
Okay. So just looking. Okay, this is part of what I thought it was. All right, so we have if the fated box is not marked, gain 1 Argo knowledge. I think technically this fated box is marked for me because I did it in my last campaign, but I will probably just, for the sake of this playthrough, I'm going to say that it was not marked, but let's check. Let's see, this would be under special events. Rude Awakening. Oh, that's weird. It's not, that's surprising. Okay. So we'll check that. So we'll get an Argo knowledge. I wonder why that's not, I swear I did this in my last campaign. Then gain 1 Doom. Okay, well I'm going to, oh, is this technically in the battle phase still? No, I think this part still technically counts as adventure, the special event. So maybe, I think we get to try to roll out of it. Let's see if we can. All right, so we need a 7 or higher. That's a 6. Do I want to re-roll that? I'm not even showing the die. Yeah, let's re-roll it. I really just want to put off this a little longer. Come on. That's a 3. Damn. All right, we're still getting our Doom. Shoot. Okay. But anyway, back to this. So we're going to do IO 57. At the end of today, we have a number of Inward Odysseys that we're going to be doing today. 57. Then we will take a new Argonaut sheet, draw a new portrait card, or simply choose a skill, and a new Nemos card from the Nemos vault. If the fated box is not marked, it has to be the returned Nemos card. So I will go grab that really quick. I also need to grab a new Argonaut. Our new Argonaut is Herakleides. We have a little story on the back here that says, Herakleides is a bit lost. When he looks into his reflection, he sees an old man. His story's done and told, his debt for the world paid in full, with interest. This is what he sees. What he remembers is nothing. He's like a young boy, eager and anxious to be tested on the stage of Hellas. And we were told to get the returned Nemos, which is kind of a special Nemos card. And it says, the returned. At the start of your turn, re-establish your time anchor, even if the backwards momentum trait is not in play. If you are on a time anchor, you have +1 precision. So this is a really cool Nemos to be able to play around with in the Mnestis Theater because it does unlock some certain strategies for being able to use time anchors and the time clocked, what's it called? Time clock status or condition card, even if in cycles other than C3. Although admittedly, I thought there was going to be a piece of gear that we got with this too. So we must be able to get that some way, in some other way. Although I'm not sure. Maybe it's from resolving this Nemos. But yeah, okay. So maybe we'll aim for that. So this is not quite the way I was expecting it to turn out, but we have our new Argonaut here. And we will say goodbye to Penelope. Thank you for your service. Appreciate everything you've done, and I'm sorry to have done you dirty like that. I will take this, put our little sticky tabs on here. Then we need to go in to our scribe app and add Herakleides. And also show that Penelope has passed away. Where's our scribe app? There we go. Argonauts. Penelope. And she had no Nemos nodes. Okay, so she is dead. Then we will add a new Argonaut. Add. Where are you at, Herakleides? There we go. Set your color to yellow, and we need the returned Nemos. Let's go back to our timeline now and see what else we have to do for the day. We do need to do the Titan grafting. I think here I wanted to assign the Hyperborean and Strain card to the Ascender. Go to Titans. Ascenders at the top. No, alive. Trauma pattern. Hyperborean Strain. Cool. At some point soon, I may want to lose either a crew or a hull to lose some Argo fate here, but I think for now we're okay. Let me also lose, I think it'd be my last, what's it called? Hypertime Oracle core. So we can create another Ascender Titan. Go into Titans here, and I'm just going to convert one of these Titans to, or not an Ascender, a Returner Titan. I don't know if I said the wrong Titan name a second ago. There we go, Returner. And I think lastly, we just have a bunch of inward Odysseys to do. So let's just jump through the story phase, or the story step into the story step. I cannot talk this morning. Or really, I just can't think. Voiceover, go back. We'll go inward Odyssey. We'll go to, what was the first one? 55.
Argonauts, you are called by Palamedes, a young scholar who quickly climbed the ranks of the last academy, and who is now the main reader of the tome. I have found another piece of the Argonautica. So, one of you says slowly, as if to drag out the moment. Have you confirmed who we are? I hope I haven't, he says, neurotically adjusting his robe. What does that mean? The matter is much more complicated. There is history here, layers. You have learned about the first generation in Sparta? Speak. One of you loses their patience. To that, Palamedes takes a step back and points to the tome. Be my guest. The tome reads, Gen 2 was everything we could have hoped for. Mortal, without divine ambitions, molded rather than born. Our own Spartoi, warriors sown from dragon teeth, blank slates, emotionless, without attachments and personal distractions. They have achieved near-perfect synchronization and become our most promising project to date. A dream fulfilled. A dream too good to last. At a certain level, the perceived advantages became vices. Being blank slates, Gen 2 turned out to be highly susceptible to conversion by the enemy. Emotionlessness led to a higher than acceptable collateral casualty rate. The lack of personal attachments and bonds made them dangerously difficult to predict. In our pursuit to find the perfect Triskelion media, we created monsters, sacred weapons of indiscriminate destruction. Thus, it was decided Gen 2 was to be made retired, and that the initiative should revise the findings and proceed with Gen 3 immediately. We made them too clever for that, for our own good. Too much Pygmalion in them. These were not contentious heroes we could manipulate. These were bared weapons. Spartoi. It was a mistake. The preemptive strike, the betrayal. It cost us almost everything. Hermes Trismegistus paid the highest price and has not been whole since. The excerpt ends there. Are we... One of you begins. I don't know, says Palamedes. Your post-awakening amnesia might suggest that blank slates and all. However, other qualities seem to contradict this claim. For one, you don't seem psychopathic. Much. One of you cracks a smile, and Palamedes only shrugs sheepishly. No, I don't believe you are, says the old priest with a calm smile. There is much warmth in you, and kindness and empathy. You are not blank slates, for you yearn for a robbed past. Put your minds at ease, Argonauts. You are not these sacred weapons the Argonautica talks about. Some of you are reassured. Others wonder what all of this was about. Who was warring who? And some of you, deep in their hearts, fear that they are these sacred weapons.
So maybe our Argonauts are Gen 2, or maybe they're Gen 3 potentially. Maybe there's something else entirely. We don't really know. Each Argonaut decides for themselves whether they think they are a sacred weapon or someone else entirely. For sacred weapon, the Argonaut gains a permanent skill bonus to a chosen skill, but cannot gain Nemos cards. They can gain a new Fated Nemos as normal. For someone else entirely, the Argonaut may gain one Nemos node, then they draw a Fated Nemos card and only gain its resolved ability as if they have just resolved it. I think the paragraph spacing here is weird, but I think that draw a Fated Nemos card is only supposed to be for the someone else entirely. And I think I'm going to be doing that latter one for pretty much everybody. So we don't have to gain a Nemos node, it looks like. It says the Argonaut may gain one Nemos node, then they draw a Fated Nemos card and gain only its resolved ability. So for Aster, I know I have her name on the timeline. I think I'll choose to gain a Nemos node for a hero by mistake though, just to have the tiebreaker so we know hero by mistake will be the dominant Nemos. So let's note M001. And that is it a cycle 3 one, or is that is a cycle 3 one? Oops. Okay. Take off her little sticky note here, and let's see if this works. Let's do 2 random Fated Nemoses here. I'm gonna draw 2 and then choose between one that I want the bonus from. When you gain at least 1 bleeding token, lose 1 fate, or when you gain a crit chance, lose 1 fate. Let's do the latter, because at least that one, Aster hopefully will be persisting into the next cycle, so if she does, then at least that'll be something that's useful into the next cycle. For Cersegard, let's not gain a Nemos node. Then let's do the same thing here, 2 random ones, check what their resolved ability is. When you draw a negative card, lose 1 fate. When you place 5 or more Kratos tokens in the Kratos pool in a single ability window, lose 1 fate. I feel like at this point we should be able to put Kratos tokens in the Kratos pool pretty reliably. 5 is a lot, but with a good commit weapon, I think we can kind of balance this out, and then losing this 1 fate takes care of the commit cost. So let's try that one. Let's do Denigrated. For Otis 0, you cannot gain Nemos nodes. And okay, we were basically I wish you could get a Fated Nemos node. We're so close to retire, or like to getting rid of his 1 Fated Nemos that he has here, but all right, so let's see. So we want that, or so Queasy would be when you lose a, okay, I probably don't want that one. Let's do one more here. Okay, after you place 5 more Kratos, all right, so he gets the same one, although for him, he normally uses, what is it? Daedalus' Flight, and he will be getting this reliably, I think. So that's good for him. Now then next we'll go to Herakleides. And yeah, sure, let's give you a Nemos node here. 2 random, resolve. When you would take your turn 2nd or 3rd during the Titan round, lose 1 fate. Or if you re-roll 2 or more attack dice and none of them are hits, lose 1 fate. I mean, I'm probably not going to remember the first one, but that one's way better than Apathy. So I'm going to take Late. Now I need to add these to all of our sheets here, so give me 1 second. That's done. Now let's move on to our next Inward Odyssey. Oh, why did I go back there? I could have just done something quicker. 56. The Typhon comes.
After the events of the day, the four of you fall asleep quickly and soon begin dreaming. In the morning, you will find out that all of you dreamed the same dream, a dream like a Mnemo's glimpse, but certainly not yours. The dream. You hear the screams from a distance, like a heat wave that makes your cheeks burn and your throats dry up. This can't be happening. You think frantically. You've been good people. You've led decent lives. You've even paid tribute to the sun god, though you had your doubts about him. And then you just spoke out against the hate, against the discrimination, against the killings of unbelievers on the sun-kiss contraptions. Was that bad? Has the sun god not said to cherish life, live in sunlight and do good?
No,
said the high priest.
for harboring unbelievers is like growing poisonous weeds in your garden. Who grows poison if not a poisoner? And what do you do with weed if not pull it out?
The outer walls vanish in a cloud of dust and catapulting debris. Stone fragments the size of houses arcing toward the city like a volley of arrows. Everything stops for a moment, and you can vividly imagine the devastation soon to be. Falling buildings, peoples smashed into a mush, the deafening sound. And then it happens and is somehow more loud and violent than your deepest nightmares. The Typhon steps into the city. A ponderous, deliberate march that is somehow wrapped at the same time and instills a primal fear in every mortal heart. The screams change intonation and become somehow more desperate and animal-like, as if the inhabitants of the city have reverted to the most basic form. You know what happens now. The Typhon plays and feasts. People are thrown like pebbles or stomped on like bugs, torn limb from limb and worn as ornaments, eaten alive and then spat out. This is Hades. This is hell. This is the god's judgment. You huddle in your hiding place, hoping against hope that you won't be found. But you will, for the Typhon is not stupid. The Typhon is guided by the god's wisdom, and so it does. It rips the roof of the building and throws it away casually. It smiles cruelly, the four of the Typhon stooping over you and your terrified family, men and women, children and the old, all soon to be monster fodder. Against better judgment, you raise your heads and dare look into the visages of your butchers, to face oblivion head-on. You look at the Typhon, you look at the Titans, rabid and mad, red foam frothing at the mouths. But their eyes are not their eyes, but of their keepers. And in that brief moment, you understand everything. You heard it for so long, and yet did not understand. The Titans were the sworn enemy of mortals since times immemorial. And they were, for they were wielded as a tool of cruel punishment by the gods, who could wipe their hands clean of the slaughter. But then something changed. That city Icarus saw, where the Typhon, the Titans, turned on themselves, like Sisyphus said they would. The gods lost control, and someone gained it. Someone like you.
Trismegistus rises.
You hear a faint voice and wake up to a whole new world.
So admittedly, in this is where I'm a little confused, because in this Inward Odyssey, we're seeing the Titans and the Typhon are kind of referred to as the same thing, kind of referred to differently. Like in some parts of the story, the Typhon was referred to as like a singular beast, a singular creature, but then it's referred to Titans in the plural. So in this story, what's not clear to me is if we're seeing a singular massive beast, the Typhon, that is accompanied by these other Titans who are basically helping it, or if we're referring to a group of Titans as the Typhon. But it seemed like the gods controlled them, and then at some point the gods lost control, and someone else gained it. So here we gain 1 Echo of Recollection, and then assign the Sisyphean Strain pattern card to any of your current Titans. Name this Titan. Let me grab the Sisyphean Strain card here, and we can add an Echo of Recollection. Also, as I was thinking about the Echo of Recollection just now, the Echoes of Recollection, I just realized, I'm not going to change anything here, but just for the sake of identifying things that we did wrong. When Penelope died, Otis Zero actually should have died in her place because of the end of the A Night to Remember Nemos that we chose said that if another Argonaut dies, then this Argonaut would die in their place. That's kind of weird to me with the, like how the fused, like having to resolve the, oh my gosh, what was the name of the special event we read? Rude Awakening. So I think for the sake of this, let's keep our Argonauts the same. Let's just lose an Echo of Recollection here, and we'll just call everything even. On a similar note with the Pygmalion stones, I'm not even showing the right thing. I basically just sacrificed the 1 Echo of Recollection we were going to get here. For the Pygmalion stones, I'm also going to lose a Pygmalion stone because I think in a battle at one point I was like, oh, actually, I think we can get a Pygmalion mark for every time we lose a Titan to death, but then end up bringing them back with something like the prototype Trespass device or transient death. I think rules as written, that's technically correct, but I think like rules as intended, you shouldn't be able to potentially get like multiple Pygmalion stones from the same Titan. I don't think that's how that's supposed to play. So I'm just going to sacrifice a Pygmalion stone and just say, hey, I'm undoing some of those extra Pygmalion marks that we got. Sisyphean Strain though. Here is our Sisyphean Strain Kratos table. It is very similar to the Truth Bearers table. However, one caveat is that on crit miss, we do lose a rage. Also, there is no, it has the burden keyword, but there is no elation keyword with it. So I'm going to assign this, I think, to Earthshaker. I like having an Earthshaker around. I really don't like Earthshaker's Kratos table. So let's just replace that. Argo, Titans, Earthshaker. Kratos pattern is going to be Sisyphean Strain. Okay. Now I think we can move on to the next one. I think this is our last Inward Odyssey, and then we have a Nemos breakthrough to read.
Instead, they unleash the Typhon. The legion of Titans descends into the city to render judgment.
Watch and listen.
You hear the voice whispering calmly in your minds.
How the world was born.
The skies over Olympus are dark and steely, and the air smells of rot. Something is happening to Hellas, but you have no idea what. You have come here, like many others, to demand an answer from the gods. For years have they looked down upon you, judged you, demanded tribute and fealty, and in return offered servitude and pain, and turned their gaze away. And for a time you thought you deserved it, impure mortals that you were. For the divine power of the gods was indisputable and, more importantly, unchallengeable. You were weak and miserable, and made to suffer and serve. And then, like the first flowers of spring, you began to hear whispers of dissent, barely audible at first, but growing louder with each passing year, a chorus of hope. And once the whispers became a voice, and the voice a shout, you left your home on the province and came here. For here lay the promise of salvation, of change. You look up upon Mount Olympus itself, the seat of the gods carved into the mountain in one strike of a heavenly chisel. And you see 3 Olympians exit the naos and stand in a row, as one, their giant luminous frames so pleasing to look at. They are paragons, and their smiles bring joy to your weary souls. Your hearts grow, for you think they will address you, dispel your concerns, assure you of their love and care. Instead, they unleash the Typhon. The legend of Titans descends into the city to render judgment. You suddenly feel small and insignificant. The ants they always painted you as. Strength and will evaporate. This is the end. This is how it happened for the few cities that chose to speak up. You didn't believe it, but now you see it, and it is too late. Then, a giant of your own emerges from the crowd, taller than any Titan. She throws down her cloak, her scarred, yet still noble features twisted in just anger. The greater Titan, Promethea.
This is the end of the line,
She yells, pointing an accusatory finger at the gods. Ares, for it is Ares leading the Olympians, looks at her with pity and disgust, then gazes at the Titan horde at his command. Finally, he says,
We have taken your children, your wombs. Know when you are beat.
Promethea gazes upon the god of war defiantly.
The weak persevere and will have their day.
She recites deliberately. Ares' eyes widen in recognition. She opens her clenched fist to reveal a cryptex.
For I have stolen yours.
Titans of the Typhon turn against each other. A coup, eons in the making, while the gods watch on, disconcerted. Before they react, before Promethea says anything else, before the Titans tear themselves to pieces, all sound and light fade. Silence, darkness, then everything. Olympus explodes in a giant ball of superheated plasma. You are yanked back before your eyes burn to ash.
Watch and listen.
You hear the voice in your minds again.
How your world was born.
Who are you?
One of you manages.
I am the heart of the ship.
I feel like there's so much hidden, not even hidden, there's so much in this Inward Odyssey. I don't really know how to parse it all or grok everything with it. But this is probably like one of the most clear pictures that we have painted so far of the war between the greater Titans and the gods. We get this description of this explosion of superheated plasma, which to me evokes like parallels to the Eschaton. Is it the Eschaton? Is it a different instance of the Eschaton? Here we're also seeing the Typhon being like clearly defined as this horde of Titans that is being controlled by the gods using cryptexes and like some technology, and then the greater Titans like Promethea were able to steal this technology somehow and use it to control the Titans themselves. I don't know. There's somebody on Discord who had mentioned that they were going to start doing a deep dive into like all the different cycles. I think they're about to be putting out the cycle 1 stuff, hopefully soon. I'm really excited for them to go through all these, all the different cycles and at least piece together the things, like all the information that we have. I think there's still a lot of, I'm done talking because I don't want to spoil things for future cycles. I think I've been good about doing that, avoiding like huge spoilers for the story. But anyway, this one, I just remember this Inward Odyssey specifically making me so excited when I read it, and I just wanted to know more about everything because there's cool lore hidden in this. Here we go. So either gain +1 progress token for the current story card, or gain 1 Pygmalion Stone. You know, I think I'll just take that Pygmalion Stone back that I just sacrificed. So let's do that. And now we're actually at 11 Pygmalion Stones, and that is a ton. I'm just annoyed that I couldn't save my Returner Titan, who got rewound, but anyway. Yeah, I just am not really gaining progress tokens here on the story card because I don't think the maps are going to be that useful for us. All right, we have one more story thing to do in this timeline day. We're going to do the Nemos breakthrough for Aster. Let me just get that story started. Nemos breakthrough, C3, this is 001.
The dream is more vivid now. It all happens so quickly. Him going after you, his hungering blade, still bloody with the crimson of so many of your comrades. The roar in your ears as you try to get away, fear drowning out any other thoughts save those of survival. A cry resounding, and a wet, heavy thud, matched by a sickening crack. You turn to see the Pirate King, his skull split on a rock, his fingers still twitching around the hilt of his Zephos as his body sags in the reddening mud. The poor fool has tripped, you realize, after a moment of frozen uncertainty. Then you scuttle forward, pawing through his robe as you roll him over. That is how the townsfolk find you. You look into their eyes, the eyes of your friends and relatives, and see the light of amazement and adoration. A jubilant cry begins to rise from them, and you do not stop it. You like it. You are led away, promises of wine and feasting in your honor being made. Among the townsfolk, you catch the eyes of a few strangers, their gazes filled with interest and lust.
All right. At the start of the next battle, gain 3 rage, and then subtract 3 rage at the start of the second Titan round of that battle. Ooh, okay. So we could technically get this rage bonus for 2 attacks if we did a combination of like the Argo Cryptex Beta and what's it called? And Time Skip. So that could be worth considering. Nice one, Aster. Put that back there. Put this back. And I think we are finally ready to move on to our next day here. Day 61. Yeah, I guess we are. All right, so let's move. I think the only way we can go is to move west to tile 79. We have a chariot piece. Okay, so we have a chariot piece, we have a frozen time, we have an adventure hub symbol, and we are on a Twilight Watch tile. Yay! All great things. Very nice. Put that over here. Ah, come on, there we go. All right, So let's get our frozen time. Argo, frozen time, gain 1. And what else? We'll just do our exploration cards next. Oh boy, okay. Daedalus Artifactory, gain 3 Daedalus Machina resources. Do that. Then we're going to gain another Argo knowledge. We are going to be wrapping up our Argo knowledge soon. We've already read IO 60, so that one won't really matter. So we really only have 58 and 59 left. IO 58. Then we have an adversary activation symbol. Oh boy. All right, that ends that pile. Oh, do I want to gain an Argo fate to reduce that? Because I think, we have no other directions that we can go from this tile other than back east. We do have the chrono sail technology, but I think for that we're gonna have to wait until we're on like the advancement step of the next day. Yeah, okay, I guess I'm gonna end up having to backtrack 1 space here. Well, whatever. So I'm not gonna, let's see, I only have 1 more fight with the adversary that I can do before I have to kill it, and even then I have to get to 11 wounds in this next fight. It's gonna be maybe a little tricky to do without killing him. All right, let's go back to this. Do our next pile. I'm not going to gain an Argo fate for that one. Twilight Pathfinder. Allied gain a progress token. Man, I like the frozen time one more. I wish you get to choose. If you like had the choice between all of them, I wish you could choose which one you would get. All right, whatever. Let's just gain another. No, let's put it on Inwards Odyssey. Let's just finish out Inwards Odyssey soon. Right, then that will come out. Then, oh boy, all right. 4 Hyperborean alloy resources. And we lose an Argo fate. I like that. Okay. Okay, I was like, did I actually write the loop end on our timeline here? I did. We do have an adventure hub symbol here. We'll do that. Go ahead and roll a die. Let me pull out the table for this. Just roll it real quick. We got a 2. What does that lead to here? It would be what we left behind, or we could choose the one below it. Adventures, what we left behind. I probably want to do, I mean, on the one hand, maybe it would be good to get the, like another, what's it called? Nemos card for Herakleides. But I think I'd rather focus on getting the adventure hubs done. So let's choose of Wax and Promises to do. And then let's see what adventures we have available here. Okay, we can do any of them. All right, so roll that die. It's a 5. Let me go to the right page here to figure out what this one is. Of Wax and Promises, 69. Five would be Rule of Nations. Curse. Oh my gosh, is that gonna let me finish off the Faded Nemos? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Please, please, please. Okay. Curse. Nothing for Aster. Nothing for Cersegard. Please, please. Come on, how is it not cursed? How is this Faded Nemos not cursed? Damn it! Come on. I want to use second chance with you again. All right, and we got one for the returned. I want to see if maybe the gear card that I get from this. I think that's got to be the way you get that gear card. You have to. It must be resolving this. So maybe we'll just see if we can kind of like crank through this, because I also think. No, I won't give any spoilers, so I'll shut my mouth. All right, so let's go to our voiceover tab. Boom. Where are we going? Adventure hubs. Of Wax and Promises. Rule of Nations.
A small polis, once a center of scientific and philosophical progress, finds itself on the brink of civil war. For a whole week you tried to solve the problem, yet the envoys cannot seem to agree. The Sun Heirs want to repurpose an old academy into a temple of Helios. The Twilight Watch want to use it as a training facility for their survivalists, and the Delphians fear getting caught in the crossfire. It seems like such a trivial thing, a single building, but you recognize it has become a symbol of a greater rift. You need to tread carefully. You take a look at the people assembled in the Agora, who all either argue loudly or glare at each other. They refuse to share or cede the building. It is religious dogma versus cold pragmatism, but the rhetoric seems eerily similar. You are slowly getting sick and tired of this stalemate, but there is too much at stake to waver now. The night before, there were a few outbreaks of violence. The situation is getting worse fast. Yet, you will not reach a decision today and decide to reconvene tomorrow at first light.
If C10 or G5 is marked, the 16 choice matrix. C10 is marked. I wonder about G5. G5 is also marked. Okay, so C10 helped Therasandros escape. G5 is visiting Therasandros in Sun Air prison. Oh, this is the one where I wasn't sure what to write here. Okay. So we will see paragraph 16.
You almost bump into Axiothea on your way out of the temporary council room. She doesn't seem as angry as before and simply nods in your direction. As always, she doesn't say anything, but you can tell this stalemate is weighing her down. You wonder what she will do if this isn't solved. Would she strike down any Sun Heirs in her way? She is a formidable warrior, but you doubt she would just kill people who disagree with her. However, if a real war was to break out, you shudder at the thought as you watch her walk away.
I like Axiothea just being a recurring character here. Party leader gains 1 fate and 1 rage. Let's do, let's roll dice. Let's just say it was anybody except Aster. So let's say highest roll gets the things. That's blue. Cersei Guard will get 1 rage, 1 fate.
You are about to return to the Argo for the night when you spot a silhouette in an alley. Tall and thin, almost swaying in the wind and wearing rags. The silent hermit. He looks at you, then motions for you to follow him. An unspoken question passes between your company, but you decide to investigate. What's the harm? The man leads you through the streets until you reach the edge of the polis, where the Twilight Watch quarters sprawl in a sort of tent city. He motions you to hide, then wait. Soon enough, You hear a muffled conversation from the other side of a wall.
Sure, it doesn't matter.
Says a voice.
We will seize the Academy anyway. Who's going to stop us? The Sunstroked? What about the Argonauts?
Asks a second voice.
I piss on the Argonauts.
How could the silent hermit know? You turn to him, but he shuffles away wordlessly, eager to show you something else. It seems all you are getting out of him is glimpses. This time, you find yourselves on the Sun Heir's side of town.
Prepare the offerings,
says an older priest of Helios.
What about the talks?
Asks a young follower.
Should they fail or not be in our favor, we will take action. Helios will be respected in this polis.
You wait until both priests have retreated to turn toward the silent hermit.
How did you know to be here at this exact moment?
He remains silent. You can see in his eyes that he wishes to tell you, yet something compels him not to. You watch him leave before you return to the Argo. Maybe he really can travel through time. How else could he have known? The next morning, the envoys gather, but still no compromise is made from either side.
We have 3 options here. Option 1. Both parties deserve each other, but survival should take precedence over religion. Empty prayers to dead gods will not stop the time front from advancing. Side with the Twilight Watch. Twilight Watch, diplomacy +1. Delphians, diplomacy -1. I think, let me check my diplomacy real quick. Oh yeah, I'm at 10. I'm at +10 with Delphians, +10 with Twilight Watch, -10 with Sun Heir, so diplomacy is fairly meaningless right now. Option 2, regardless of what you have heard, people need something to believe in. You've seen how the Twilight Watch crumbles inwardly, robbing itself of its own future. No amount of training is going to stop the time front. There's no need to make the lives of the Polis's inhabitants that much more grim. Option 3, since neither group intends to respect the truce anyway, why bother? You can make all the effort in the world, but you cannot rule this Polis in their stead. You won't be a part of their downfall. Don't side with anyone. Delphians, diplomacy +1, Sun Heir's diplomacy -1. I'm vibing with option 3 here. Fuck both of these groups. I'm so tired of both of them. Also, at least this one, we're not actually gonna, like, the diplomacy subtraction isn't actually gonna matter with anybody. So let's just go with that option 3.
We will not intervene,
You say to the envoys.
If you cannot come to an understanding without stabbing each other in the back, then we cannot help you.
Some of the envoys open their mouths to protest, but you are already at the door. Axiothea raises an eyebrow, daring you to leave the matter unresolved. You walk out without looking back.
It is difficult to say what the consequences of our sudden departure will have on this polis,
the old priest says as you sail away.
The Sun Heirs and Twilight Watch will have to come to an understanding on their own. Or not. But it is a valuable lesson, maybe for you most of all. We can save the world, but we cannot police it. If we are to move forward, people need to take responsibility for their own lives. Do not despair, Argonauts, for you have done everything you could.
But did you?
Gain 1 doom and subtract 2 Argo fate. You know what? It's time I stop trying to put off this fight. I'm gonna... Oh, maybe that's a little spoilery. Screw re-rolling for this doom. I'm gonna gain it. We're about to have to resolve a loop end soon, so we are gonna be resolving Doom to be, at least I can plan for it this time. I'm going to make that the next video. We'll subtract 2 Argo Fate here. And then it looks like we're going to return to the voyage phase at this point. Okay. All right. Let's do the Dreamwalker event. Get a Dreamwalker Titan. And then we will add that event 9 days from now on day 70. Dreamwalker. And then I'm down to 1 Argo Fate, so maybe should I do some things that require Argo Fate right now? So I'm probably going to be fighting the Dehaka. I think I'll have another fight coming up soon. So yeah, let's do things that gain Argo Fate. We'll have to gain an Argo Fate to use Chronosail. Is it actually worth using Chronosail? Oh no, okay, because I'm going to have to resolve the loop end tomorrow anyway, so there's not really much point in using Chronosail tomorrow, so I don't need to worry about that. Oh, actually, really quick. Where do we have... We do have... What's it called available? The Cycle 2 breeding technology, so I should have done that yesterday. So that would be 7 days from yesterday, so 67. Wait, is it 7 days? No, it's 10. Okay, so 10 days from yesterday, also day 70, we'll say Abyss Watcher breeding, and I have to lose a Dreamwalker for that. Breeding. All right, and here, scroll down, Dreamwalker, dead. Well, actually, I want to let me look at the Titans because I want to see what Titans I can put. Right, I'm gonna take a second to see what things I should use Argo Fate on today. I'm just gonna do training for the Returner and get Scorch conditioning back on her. So it'll be 7 days from now, so day 68. Turner. Training. I think that's all I'm going to do. I reserve the right to craft some things before my next fight, assuming it comes up in the next, like, day or two. Just throwing that out there. I just don't feel like going through the technology cards right now. But I'm just letting you know, I plan on doing that. But we, I think, can move on to the story step now, where we're going to resolve story 3A. Where are we at here? Also, how is this looking for focus? Oh, it's a little out of focus now because it's gotten brighter down here. Give me 1 second. Change to that. Yeah, it looks better. Okay, finding the Aspirant. If the Argo is on the same map tile as a Chariot A or Chariot B symbol, we are on a Chariot B symbol. Then during story step C, 108. Okay, main story. 01.
A fierce blizzard whips at you, powerful winds scouring the snow-covered landscape with knife-like viciousness, while spires of black-veined ice claw at the sky like talons of frozen ambrosia. Ahead, a familiar outline, the shadow of Icarus's chariot, the Aspirant, or rather, what remains of it. The heavenly craft is partially buried in snow, the glacier already beginning to consume it. You can see where the ice has formed a perfectly smooth, almost obsidian layer over the hull, the result of partially melting when the white-hot wreckage crashed down. then refreezing over it. A hardened layer that will be nigh impossible to break through. The Aspirant is barely intact, fractures running along its keel in dozens of places. Entire hull plates have been ripped away, and the interior of the vessel is exposed to the elements. It will never be fit for a voyage again, although you are certain that, had he the time, Alcibiades would be able to salvage much from this wreck. But you did not come for salvage, just answers.
If M9 is marked C109, otherwise C110. I think M9 is marked. I think that's the Electron one. M9 is marked. And yes, that was correct. Okay.
Electron steps forward, looking up at the looming bulk of the vessel with a furrowed brow. "Something's not right," he mutters, his words almost lost in the howling winds.
What do you mean?
"The Aspirant looks different." He points. "Changes to the structure, reinforcement around the bridge. Almost, but not quite." As you inspect the hull, something else jumps out at you. A name on the prow, inscribed in bold letters for all to see. Imperative, not Aspirant. "This can't be my ship." Electron's brow furrows even more deeply.
Only one way to find out.
You squeeze the former commander's shoulder.
We need to find the Scriptos in the bridge. That will have a full record of the mission.
Place 1 progress token on Inward Odyssey. That is going to put us onto Argo Knowledge 59. Oh no, do not duplicate voyage. Timeline, IO 59. We will resolve that after our story stuff here. Okay.
The climb onto the ice-locked wreck of the chariot. This imperative is challenging in and of itself. Thankfully, over the years, you've developed gear to scale primordials. What's an unmoving object compared to that? There, through a crack in the hull, you work your way up to the bridge, backtracking several times due to corridors being blocked by rubble and ice. Finally, you enter the ruined command post, eerily silent. Scorch marks across many of the surfaces, scraps of clothing and burned flesh clinging to now cold metal. Utter desolation. There is little left for you to salvage, but eventually you do manage to find a cubic device beneath the remnants of the helm. The Scriptos. The exterior is marred by burn marks, but it's intact. You need to bring it back to the Argo for a full examination, but you are anxious and cannot wait that long, so you place it on a flat surface and activate it with a brush of your palm. An image begins to project itself onto the nearest wall. The interior of the bridge, the crew frantically rushing about trying to attend to their tasks. Beyond the viewport, the sun's domain, a shadow growing before the ship as if meaning to intercept it. The larger it becomes, the more frenzied the activity on the bridge becomes. And there, at the heart of the chaos, Icarus stands, watching the forward viewport in stoic silence. He ignores the increasingly despairing pleas of his crew, the terror growing in them by the moment. Flames are already beginning to consume parts of the ship, and the rattling is almost too much for it to bear, even to you. Icarus steps forward, closer to the viewport. Glimmering feathers of his cloak ripple, each one host to an unblinking eye. You don't remember that. It has been modified. The cloak is oddly shaped, almost giving the impression of folded wings. Icarus raises his arms out to either side. There is a long moment of motionlessness as he tilts his head back, his crew calling to him in confusion and consternation. Then, a violent explosion rips through the bridge. The viewport is shattered, and blinding sunlight fills the room. The screaming crew members are incinerated in an instant, until all that remains is Icarus, standing in the sun's rays, his feathered cloak billowing behind him. No, it's unfolding, twisting and bending into wing-like appendages, eerily lifelike. He pauses, looking back at the remnants of his ship and crew, and then leaps from the chariot out into empty space. The wings unfurl around him, and he powers even higher into the skies, heading straight for the shadowy shape of the Demen. Ice fills you. This was the final iteration of Icarus's mission, the one after yours, the one where he found the way to succeed. He needed everything you did for him, and then more than that. The ultimate sacrifice of his crew, his ship, everything he had worked so hard to create, to provide him with enough impetus to launch himself the final distance. And, pitiless as it was, it had paid off. You follow the shape of Icarus as it is bathed in powerful beams of sunlight, not incinerated like the rest of his crew, but rather soaring, ascending. Were it not for the price paid to achieve it, you may have described the sight as beautiful. Then Icarus freezes in midair, as if a butterfly caught in a spider's web. He hangs there for a long moment, transfixed in the sun's rays, before his body violently twitches. He twists and spins in place, his form warping and changing. The winged cloak melts, his body bloats, numerous tentacle appendages sprouting from smooth flesh. You watch in horror as the sun descendant is born, and all around him ice and snow begin to fall. Time itself twists and warps. In an incandescent flash, an explosion tears loose from him, the fledgling time front unleashed upon the world.
So interesting. So we just saw, I think in a previous part of the story, we saw that the sun descendant was born from Phaeton, the son of Helios. And now we're seeing the sun descendant is actually born from Icarus. A little bit of shenanigans with different timelines here. If M9 is marked CE112, we do need to see that.
Oh, lad. Alectryon raises a hand to his mouth in horror. He finally got his wish, you state grimly. He made it to the sun's domain and paid the price. And we sent him there. The former commander shudders. Me, you, the crew of the Aspirant. We all fed his dream of ascending to the sun, of meeting his father's expectations. Now he's the source of all of this. You narrow your eyes, looking at the imagery the scriptos is showing you. It certainly seems like all the ice and chaotic energy that ravages Delphi flows from him.
One Argonaut can reset their fate. Do we have... Oh, we only have one fate on one Argonaut. Remove that.
A chill fills you. matched only by the revulsion that clasps at your gut. It was not his failure, you realize, but his success that led to all of this. Icarus became the sun descendant, and it was your interference that allowed this to happen. The Twilight Age, the time front, the ice and glaciers that now threaten to consume all. Even the loop that keeps you trapped here. It is all because of this one victorious mission. Sorrow and regret fill you. You did this. All of it. All this time, you've been unknowingly fighting to make certain it happened. Again and again and again. And now, the loop is sustained once more. As you gaze deeper into the memory of the Scriptos, looking for something, anything that would give you a clue how to make this right, the towering Goliath of the Sun Descendant turns and looks directly at you. Dread immobilizes you. It can see you through the recording, peering across time and space. A dozen maws across its body open up to scream in rage. Atop the pulsating mountain of flesh, the torso of what was once Icarus throws its head back in a tortured, flesh-rending screech. Before you know what is happening, the Scriptos cracks and the Sun Descendant is here, above the wreck of the chariot. You do not have long. You need to junction with your titans and face it.
Go to the Endure the Sun battle on page 132, after the battle aftermath C107. This is not one of the fights that I was expecting to come up. For the sake of this video, I'm going to do that battle off camera, similar to the last one I did. I expect a couple of other more interesting fights to be coming up. So for right now, I am just going to reset all of our stuff here. I'll be able to look back at the video to see everything that we had that I should have going into that fight. But for now, I'm just going to continue on with the story, and we're just going to proceed straight to paragraph 107. Nope. Skip this. Okay, so I will do... we'll reset our Argo fate, or we'll lose 3 Argo fate, assuming we win. I feel pretty confident about winning. It's just a matter of, are we going to lose any Titans? Let's go to paragraph main story. Yeah, 0107.
You ascend to the Acropolis deck, still reeling from the ferocity of the battle you have just endured, barely. The knowledge you have uncovered still rocks you to your core. Icarus became the Sun Descendant. He sacrificed his crew, his chariot, everything in order to succeed. And you helped him, unwittingly, but the blame still rests heavily on your consciences. It takes you a moment to realize that something is off. There is this hard-to-describe stillness. Normally, even when becalmed, the Argo still rocks back and forth on the surface of the waves, a familiar thrum rumbling through its heart. The crew rushes about on a dozen complex tasks to keep the behemoth running. Now, your home is utterly silent and still. You spot a figure on the prow of the ship, the old priest gazing out over the icy landscape of Delphi. You approach him, calling out, but he does not move. You step up next to him and place a hand on his shoulder, but he is ice cold and does not yield to your touch. It is as if he is made of stone or ice.
He has not been harmed, and neither has your crew.
The melodic, oddly familiar voice comes from directly behind you.
This is merely a temporary measure.
You spin around to see the giant, half the size of your titans. Golden robes swaddle his frame, while several pairs of large, expansive wings spread out behind him, their feathers glimmering with shards of reflected light. In the dazzling, dizzying patterns, you catch glimpses of strange sights. Myriad eyes gazing out at you, flickers of flame, splinters of black-veined ice. A golden mask looks down on you. The eyes behind it, once filled with a sorrowful, despairing weariness, now hold a different light, confident, empowered, all-knowing. Icarus nods his head to you as you turn to face him.
I felt, after everything we have been through together, it was best that we speak face to face, rather than with the prying eyes and ears of others.
Something happened to Icarus after he ascended into the sun's light. You fought against the strange beast that he became after sacrificing the chariot, but this form, something is different. You need to know more, even if it means risking having him attack you. Demand an explanation from Icarus. Delphian's diplomacy plus. It's weird that we're getting diplomacy here. This is kind of like we're like locked in time. How are we getting diplomacy with anybody right now? Option 2. You've seen the monster Icarus transformed into, fought against it, barely survived its wrath. Now he has attacked your crew, freezing them in this paralysis, whatever it is. You need to counter the threat before he does something more drastic, regardless of the risks. Okay, just attacking him seems a bit brash. Let's demand the explanation. Let's go to 115.
We saw the Scriptos recording, you exclaim. What have you done? What was necessary? The losses were the missing variable.
The towering golden figure states dismissively.
And success was achieved. I found the perfect iteration. Now, and for all-time permutations, I have done what my father wanted of me. I have exceeded the limits placed upon mortals. I am perfected. You betrayed your crew,
You sputter.
killed them all, doomed Delphi. Unavoidable, expected due to the nature and scope of the mission. Thus, acceptable.
Icarus's voice, while lilting and beautiful in a strange hypnotic way, is devoid of emotion, cold, calculating.
This time lock is my cradle. Unfortunately, it is only a half step. More needs to be done to proceed beyond my father's design, to impress even him.
For a fraction of a second, there is spite there. He is still mortal, in some way. You keep your expressions neutral, trying your best not to show any emotions, but inside, your minds are seething. Icarus is so different from the kind but lost man you knew before, reforged by the crucible of his impossible mission and his father's desire into a cruel, pitiless being. The price of perfection seems too high.
Gain 1 Argo knowledge and 2 Argo fate. So we are capping out our Argo knowledge now, although we're not going to read IO60 because we've already read it. And 2 Argo fates. We now are at 2 out of 9 Argo fate.
So, what happens now?
You ask.
I have fulfilled my father's vision and reached the sun.
Icarus responds.
But it is still not enough. I shall surpass anything his limited mind could have dreamed of.
For a moment, you hear faint anger resonate in his words.
I have become the heir apparent to the throne left vacant, the true descendant of the sun itself. and I will seize.
Do you even hear yourself?
The party leader sputters.
This is madness.
No, just inevitable.
The gold-masked head tilts.
As is the end of this vicious cycle of Delphi. For it has served its purpose as cradle and crucible. I shall close it.
The towering figure bows its head to you.
I am not utterly without gratitude, Argonauts. In thanks for your help, I have undone the Eschaton here, as promised, so you could experience the world you worked so hard to restore.
There is a tint of cruelty there, you think. He extends his hands, gesturing to the wasteland around you. You half expect the landscape to morph into the idyllic plains before your eyes, but nothing happens.
Nothing has changed.
The party leader growls through his teeth.
Not powerful enough?
You do not comprehend.
Icarus's eyes gleam behind his mask.
The Twilight Epoch was never the original future of Hellas. This is what a world without the Eschaton becomes. This is the future you fought so hard to bring back. A world driven to the ground by cruel gods and their blind worshippers. Mine will be better.
Numbness floods your limbs at the words, shock coursing through your bodies.
I must depart now.
Icarus turns away from you.
My purpose calls me to the sun's domain, where Helios once held court, where the descendant finally becomes the heir. I have repaid my debt to you, Argonauts. Whatever comes, I suggest you do not interfere.
He is gone as suddenly as he appeared, and time on the Argo begins to flow again. For you, though, that moment lingers, the realization of the truth and your part in it. And yet, in some strange way, it's a liberating feeling. All this time, as you were sailing Delphi, you wrestled with your conscience, questioning whether you should try and bring back the pre-Eschaton world. And the answer was there all along. The only way is forward. Later that night, you reconvene with your close allies to discuss what needs to be done.
You plan to challenge him?
Asks the war philosopher Socrates. You glance at each other. This isn't even a question. You are the Argonauts.
We need to reach that.
One of you points to the night sky, where the shape of the sun's domain is visible against the moon.
We'll find him there.
And then?
He isn't omniscient and the future isn't set,
says the old priest.
For he would not caution you to not intervene.
A part of him is still mortal.
The party leader agrees.
We can exploit his anger.
Or appease his humanity. Well, the remnants of the Imperative, or Aspirant, or whatever the chariot's name is, will not take us there at the moment,
says Alcibiades.
But we have seen it done. And what I can see, I can build. What I require is more components. We need to find where the rest of the ship crashed down.
You simply nod, and soon the Argo is underway once more, following the trail of the fallen chariot.
Note which chariot piece you have currently found. A or B. You will need to find the second piece of the same chariot. Flip the box of Black Story 3A card to side 3B, the Eschaton Solution, and read it, then return to the voyage phase. So this is where the house ruling typically comes in. A lot of people have recommended that just ignore the type of symbol and just for story 3B, you go and find a second piece of the chariot. It doesn't matter which symbol it is. I don't know if I'm going to play by that house rule or not. I still think I'm doing pretty well in terms of timeline days. So I'm just going to kind of play it by ear and see how long it takes us to find let's see, I think we said we found chariot B, right? Yeah, how long it takes us to find the other Chariot B piece. If we find like another Chariot A piece very quickly, then I probably won't do the house rule, but I don't know. We'll see. So let's flip this over. I'll just read story 3B. Oh, that's right. I have to do IO 53 as well. We had another timeline here. We do have a couple of inward odysseys as well. Let's just make a note of that one on the same timeline day. So we will get to that one as well. IO 53. And so story 3B, the Eschaton Solution. You have met with Icarus, but not the one from before. Not the merciful broken angel constantly failing to live up to the expectations, but a creature strong and cold and calculating, one that went to the sun and came back transformed. Uncaring and callous, this perfected Icarus wants to ascend to Helios' throne, to godhood, and so finally to surpass his father. So it seems he is still the old Icarus living in Daedalus' shadow, measuring his worth through the great inventor's pitiless eyes. Icarus told you one more thing. The desolate Delphi you have been voyaging through is one untouched by the Eschaton. This is the future you wanted to bring back all this time. So now you know. The only way is forward. To chase after the self-styled sun descendant to the domain of Helios, hidden high above Delphi in the clouds, you will need a heaven-worthy vessel, a chariot of your own. Rules. Locate the rest of the chariot. You need to find another chariot piece, one that matches the one you have already found. So either, another chariot A or B. Move all progress tokens from side 3A onto this side, but do not draw additional chariot map cards for moved progress tokens. You can then continue collecting progress tokens to gain additional chariot maps. Finding the other part of the chariot. If the Argo is on the same map tile as a chariot A or B symbol, and this symbol matches the symbol of the first chariot part you found during the story step, see 118. When the story card is revealed, your current loop erase your current loop end from the timeline, then count X days from the current day, and mark the last day as the loop end. And X is your loop length. Okay, that was like more complicated worded than it had to be. So erase the loop end and put it, let's see, it's going to be day 66. Okay. An end to all things. If at any point you reach the loop end, you lose the game. Remember, you can always force a loop effect using the chronocell technology. Okay, yeah, this is the one, I think this card was the one that had to be eroded to indicate that you get to reset your loop end, because otherwise, potentially you could be in a situation where you just automatically lost because you go from the story step to the doom step to the end step, and you didn't have a chance to use technology to do anything about changing that loop end. Let's go in and knock out some of these inward odysseys really quickly. Actually, I did want to show this. And then we're going to end the video after that. So let's do these in numerical order. So let's do IO 53 first. Oh, initiate this adventure at the start of the next story phase. Too bad, we're just going to do it on this one.
The scholars of the last academy have decrypted more of the scriptos, including some sort of moving Phos projection. You ask to watch this light show. When it begins, you are swept into this Mnestis-like theater. The polis is wreathed in crimson flames and charcoal smoke, so the widespread devastation wrought onto the massive stonework is not evident at first glance. But then you do see it. Buildings leveled to the ground, temples turned into cobblestones, and wide paths of deep red paint gleaming in the fire, which isn't paint at all. And then you realize the flames were a self-defense measure, a pitiful attempt to funnel the primal force of death that descended upon the city. It did not work. Nothing worked against the Typhon, the god's punishing hand. Yet this time was different. This time the Typhon was at war with itself, and the people just caught in the middle. The heavenly chariot passes over the night sky, unnoticed by the monstrosities, though Icarus holds his breath the whole brief way. Once he's out of the city, he accelerates and heads straight for his father's workshop in one of the pillars of sunlight, though they both simply call it a lighthouse. The chariot comes to a full stop inside a dock. Another successful test. Icarus disembarks hastily and calls to his father.
Helios has unleashed the Typhon against the dissidents. Kira is no more, but the Typhon is turned against itself. A division. It is as you told me. The time of the gods is coming to an end.
He approached the crouched old man, tinkering with something.
Did you hear me, father? I heard. And nothing,
snaps Daedalus.
Did you not see that I have better things to do?
Icarus looks stunned by the callousness, but decides not to pursue the thread. Instead, he smiles and says,
The Aspirant is performing admirably. The introduction of the black ichor was a step in the right direction. How did you know it would just appear out of the ground?
Daedalus doesn't say anything and continues to tinker.
I have some ideas as to how we could make it even more efficient. If you could...
No, says Daedalus absent-mindedly, not even looking at his son.
I'm done here. I will be leaving in the morning. What? But I'm so close. No, you're not.
Daedalus finally looks at his son.
You're a failure. Always have been. And I have invested far too much time and energy indulging you. I have spoiled you. No, I'm done. I am going to Crete to create the most wondrous vault.
Icarus is dumbfounded.
A vault? What of the pillars? There is still work to be done here. What of me? I care not for the pillars. Time bores me.
Daedalus sighs with a grimace.
And you?
He pauses, as if he was to deliver a sentence.
You can join me on Crete, my prodigal son. After you have achieved this feat you're so sure you're so close to. Father, don't show your face otherwise.
This seems maybe it's before the Eschaton or slightly before, but around the time that things were starting to change, where the gods had lost control of the Typhon and the Typhon was doing its own infighting. But this sounds like it might have been the last time that Daedalus and Icarus had talked, and we're seeing some more motivation on why Icarus was so intent on trying to get to the sun, potentially so that he could go be with his father again in Crete. We have to gain the Machina Nymph, although I have that in my nymph stack, so I don't know if that was just from a bonus nymph that I had gotten at one point. But I have it now, so I don't know. I think we've already looked at the Machina Nymph though, so I'm not going to go over it again. Let's just jump to the next Inward Odyssey, which is going to be 58, and then we'll do 59 after that.
A giant of a man climbs down a sheer naked cliff. His body is lacerated from the sharp rocks, but he doesn't mind. The pain doesn't dull him. It sharpens his senses, for it momentarily makes him forget all that he has done. There is a gargantuan titan chained to the wall, Promethea, her side torn, blood and bodily fluids spilling out into the dark sea below. The gaunt, beaked creature responsible for the mutilation is circling nearby, but it retreats when it sees the man. It is powerful, but no match for Herakleides. How'd you let them string you up like that? Promethea raises her weary eyes.
There were many. Has your father sent you?
Nah. He brushes aside her question. We're done. He can rot in Hades for all I care. So yeah, the old man sent me. He can talk all right.
Yes, he is most persuasive.
Promethea forces a smile.
You will unchain me?
Yeah. Herakleides leans in to examine the shackles, but stops. But I want to know first, what's this I hear about you stealing fire? I know you want to get back at them, but, you know, that's a shit prize. Promethea nods in agreement, and Herakleides unchains her. He is much smaller than her, yet his strength is unmatched, and he is able to drag her back up. Once they are both safe at the top of the cliff, she says,
The prize was never the fire.
Then what? The Titan reaches to her wounded side and plunges her hand deep into the tear, blood spilling all around. Herakleides watches, mesmerized. Slowly, Promethea pulls out a long, thin rod, taller than the hero, a gray vein still connecting it to something within the greater Titan's body, and lays it on the ground.
I stole freedom for your people and mine.
She sighs.
We could use you.
Nah, got my own problems. He waves his hand dismissively and turns away. Tell the old man I said hey. Good luck with that. He points to the metal rod. Whatever it is. Promethea's eyes glow in the evening light.
So this seems like it happened sometime before the last, or not the last Inward Odyssey, Inward Odyssey 57. And this thing that Prometheus stole, this rod, what was the rod? We got a rod back in cycle 1. I don't know if this is connected to that in some way, if it is the same rod. Probably not, based off of like what I assume would be the size of what's pulled out of Prometheus' side versus what we were able to hold with just the Argonauts. But this thing maybe was, I would assume this thing is what led to being able to build the cryptexes and the things that could actually control the Titans or break the control over them. You will gain a progress token, which we're going to put towards our story card this time because we don't have any more Inward Odyssey to put it towards. Then we get to ignore Argonaut deaths caused by the Frontlines keywords for the rest of the cycle, so that is fun. We will basically have no fear of using cryptexes, which I didn't have that much fear before, but now we can go wild. Now let's jump to our last Inward Odyssey, IO 59.
For a few weeks now, you've been scouring the city ship, looking for something, anything, that would reveal to you the origins of the mysterious voice that spoke to you in the Triskelion Junction and in your dreams. During one of your delves, you find a darkened chamber full of strange apparatus and wall-sized graphs showing incomprehensible equations. There are small translucent amphorae here, filled with what seems like many types of sand and dirt and water. Further down, there are animal specimens in canopic jars and monstrous parts of some minuscule primordials, dried and preserved for who knows how long. And by the far wall, reinforced containers hold ambrosia samples. You thoroughly search the entire room, finding additional sheets of papyrus with graphs, patterns, and equations, as well as a few cracked clay tablets marked with a triangle sign you have come to associate with the Argo, but much cruder. We have returned to Ur-Ithaca with much haste, quite ironic after a 10-year quest grimly fulfilled. Now I know it was necessary. We carry samples from as far as Hellespont and Nubia and the gates of Gades. It reads, "Sea levels are falling across all Hellas, while temperatures are rising. The soil is contaminated with black residue, and it is building up. Over the course of our journey, we have observed several types of those frightful creatures, some as small as a fingertip, others larger, maybe like a dog or a small donkey. They tend to keep away from the settlements, and good thing that, for they bring swift death and are protected by some kind of unholy aura. A full report, broken down by region, season, and year, has also been compiled. Trismegistus eyes only." Another tablet, written with fine symbols, reads, "I have correlated the results of our intrepid wanderers with my own research, as well as that kindly provided by our divine friend. They all point to the same thing. The world is dying. No, these words do not convey intent. Repeat, the world is being murdered, poisoned with a substance we came to call ambrosia, spread by monsters systematically let into Hellas by the Olympians. Everything is growing weak and sick. Birth rates are down, and I project they will keep falling. In a few decades, the world will be emptied. This has been meticulously planned. A surgical extinction of all mortal life. A slow apocalypse without the need for wars, or typhons, or grand cataclysms. A quiet eschaton. I will not allow it. I will not go silently. This time, we'll trespass through the eons. You share what you've learned with a select few. The old priest, Alcibiades, the war philosopher Socratoares, and the young Palamedes. Though you cannot verify anything, deep down you know it's all true. Deep down you finally know what you are fighting against."
So it sounds like in some of these reports that we found, we're hearing like the initial sightings of primordials that were like as small as dogs and donkeys, presumably created from the ambrosia that was starting to take over, or I should say starting to build up across the world. But I guess that's not entirely true, because it does also say that the ambrosia was spread by monsters that were let into Hellas by the Olympians. So maybe it's a little bit more of a chicken and egg, where like these monsters come in, they're spreading ambrosia, the ambrosia is infecting other creatures and creating more primordials. But we're led to believe here that the Olympians were, if they're trying to poison the world and kill off everybody, everything inside of it, why? Not really sure. We're going to gain 4 frozen time, and then we're going to make, oh, heck yeah, so we're now at full capacity on frozen time. Go to this. And then we need to gain 3 Twilight tally marks. I think I should actually have a 4th here, because I think I was supposed to gain one from that Sun Descendant crit I got a little while ago. But I never actually marked it, so we're going to say 4 Twilight tally marks here. And then technically we could be reading Inward Odyssey 60 now. I'm not going to read that because you already read that in cycle 2. If you didn't catch that and you want to go back and listen to it, I can't remember what episode number it is, but it's like the Nymph and the Engine, I think, is the episode title. So go ahead and check that one out if you haven't already. But I'm going to call the video here because I have to jump off to work. I thought I was going to be able to finish this video like 30 minutes ago. I was not able to do that. Off camera, I will need to resolve a fight against the Sun Descendant. Then I may take another timeline day or two where I'm filming off camera, because I think I'm going to end up having to fight the Dehaka very soon, and I'll do that fight off camera as well, because I want the next video to be like, we're already, I think this is episode 20 or maybe it's 19, but I think the next Dehaka battle that I record, I want to be the one where we initially kill the Dehaka, and then the battle after that, maybe we'll try to actually like permanently kill the Dehaka, but this next fight against the Dehaka, I don't think I'm going to be trying to kill it. Or maybe I'll gain Argo Fate to try to prevent the fight from happening now. I don't know, we'll see. But the next video, I want to be transitioning from Doom 2B into Doom 3A, because I think we can make that a video all on its own. So I will leave you on that note. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. I hope you had a good time diving into all the Inward Odysseys that we've done in this episode. What, we did like 6 of them? Yeah, we literally got through like a day and a half of timeline days, and it was mostly just spent reading Inward Odysseys. So hope you enjoyed it. We got into some of the meatier ones this time too. So I think there's a lot of like parsing and rereading you can go do of those different stories, because I think there's a lot of hidden information in there that talks about, or that gives clues to like the history of the Eschaton, a little bit about the Argo itself, and maybe we'll be able to tie some of this information into things that we learn in future cycles. But I remember when I did this in my first playthrough, I did the first reading of those, it just made me so hungry for more information about this world that we live in ATO. And so yeah, I think we'll be able to hopefully uncover some more information soon. I'm sure we'll have some more mysteries. But yeah, I will see you in the next video, where we will hopefully be doing a very interesting video. But we'll see. Maybe a little bit stressful too. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And I will see you in the next episode. And until then, take care. You're great. You're wonderful. I love you.